Hi Erin, here are some tips and tricks that I have for you with using the glaze that we have available. I showed you where it is over in the cabinets. On the day that you're ready to glaze either project or whatever project you decide to do with the kids, the first thing that I do is have them rinse it under cool or warm water. That's to get all the dust off, prepare the clay to be glazed, and also kind of opens up the pores. I know this looks discolored because I've used this left behind mask many a time as a demonstration, and there's still some glaze on there. But that's what you would do first. To arrange the glaze, I found it's really nice to put it on one of the brown trays that are over by the island. If you come a little bit later after spring break, they'll probably be underneath in the cabinet that says trays by the sink. And all of these containers and the glaze and the lids are over by the door. I put each one in a container, close up the lid. This usually works really well for the project because it keeps things accessible for the kids, easy to put out, easy to clean up, easy to fill up. One thing that does happen is that with time, these kind of get gummed up on the edge, so you might need to clean it, or take advantage of the kids that finish early and have them clean off the lids, clean off the lips. And also show them how to close it, that you don't want to like put your whole hand and squish it, because this is what happens. They just don't think about these things. But show them that you can kind of hold onto it and then kind of smooth around it with a finger, and it'll kind of make a sealing sound, and it's all set. So there are all the glazes. I also show them, and this is also in the cabinet, what colors the glazes turn. And so the document camera doesn't do exact color representation to life. You may have to go around and show them. Definitely remind them, look, this is pink, right? But it's going to make red. Wow. So for some kids, that abstraction is a little hard. And like I said, you can mix these colors in different combinations, and it shows you some of the combos you can do. We've had great success making purples, pinks, all kinds of colors, tan, gray, but I would just pass out paper plates and show them how to mix the colors. Like show them, if you just have a small area that needs to be gray, just use your brush. Don't dump the whole container out onto the paper plate. And I don't save what they mix on the paper plates, I just have them pitch them. But I definitely tell them, don't put your paintbrush that's green in the white paint or the yellow paint, because I tell them it costs like $3 or $4 for this container, which it really does break down to that. So that's how I demonstrate glazing. When it's time to glaze, I show them a couple of things. So I usually put water out for them too to rinse out their brushes, but I show them, when you're glazing, you need to think of it a little bit differently than you would painting, because glaze has to have a thick coat on it. So I say, when you're painting, you're usually really gentle, and you're gentle on your project, right? But for this, you need to really load up your brush. So I show them you gotta dip it on, like get it nice and goopy, and then dab it on like this. And I tell them 2 to 3 coats. It has to dry so that it's kind of matte looking and not as wet, and then you're ready to put another coat on. And I tell them anything you leave behind that's white is gonna stay white. Don't think it will magically appear a color, because it will not. So I really enforce that. I'm like, oh, look, you missed a spot, you missed a spot, you missed a spot. And I really investigate them before they give them back to me. So 2 to 3 coats of the colors that they want. And I put out a variety of brushes, which you will see we have a variety. And then I tell them they can glaze here, but they don't have to. Do not glaze on the bottom. If they get some glaze on the bottom, I take a sponge and I wipe it off. But if they've done like the whole thing, I'll make them do it, because they're not paying attention. Now the difference with the turtle is that like on the first day when we glaze the turtle, we glaze the shell completely white. Then we glaze all of the turtle appendages green. And then that's the first day of glazing. On the second day of glazing, I show them how to carefully put some details on there. Some kids just want to be like, woohoo, all orange, but they won't be able to see their mandalas. So I just show them how to enhance the mandala by adding some areas of color. So that usually takes 2 days. For the masks, usually 2 days. And when you glaze fire, you definitely want to make sure things are not touching. No touching, or they'll be together forever. And you definitely want to make sure there's no glaze wherever it's going to touch the kiln shelf. Oh, and also don't have them cover up the name. Not good, because then you'll be stuck between a rock and a hard place. And same thing with the turtles as with the masks. You know, on a couple days before or even a week before we are going to take them home, I send a note that says we're bringing stuff home that's clay. Kids are responsible for packing materials. I show them how to pack them up. You can use old plastic bags, you can use newspaper, a sturdy box, a sturdy gift bag. A lot of kids will just bring in like one grocery bag, and I'm like, do you think this is going to protect your art? Oh, I guess not. So you actually have to show them. So we have plenty of those things around, so actually show them how to pack it too when the day comes and help them pack it. It's totally worth it. But if kids don't bring stuff in, you know, sometimes kids do bring extra and they might share. We do have a limited amount of, you know, packing paper and stuff that's over kind of by the door and the cabinets that you can choose to use. But you know what? Paper towel is good. We have an endless supply of paper towel. So you could just help them wrap it up, tape it up, take it home. So enjoy that process. It is a lot of fun. It means a lot to them. It's so much work, but they do love it. And at the end of the clay projects, if you could take the glazes that are in the container, put them back in the big containers, because they last a long time. Throwing away this much glaze is just like awful. So if you could do that, that would be fantastic.